Genesis.
I'm waiting for you guys. I'm just.
Okay, pushing buttons.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, let's get started. We're here to finish what didn't get discussed at the last meeting, and I think a big part of that was to try and talk about Frisbee golf a little bit and see what that might look like. And then since I wasn't at the last meeting, I'll let somebody else, vice president or vice chair, whatever you are,
Whatever I am.
on this commission, fill in the gaps for me.
Point of order, it should be disc golf as Frisbee is a trademark term.
I was thinking we were only going to allow Frisbee brand Frisbees.
Owned by Whammo, and they're not very nice people.
It's just a shame.
Well, we'll put that on the list then.
Perhaps a sponsor.
I'm gonna back up a tiny bit, and Brian had requested that we get a, I think it was Brian, I don't know for stones, but bike rack. And we had started looking at getting bike racks, and of course then we decided, are you guys okay with that bike rack? There's better bike racks, but then of course I wanted them to match because we know how I am. So does anybody have any thoughts? Do you want it to look like that? Do you want it to look like one of the pull-in bike racks? Or do we want to replace them both, or replace that one and get two matching ones that are more bike racks? Or does anybody just not care and we just want bike racks?
Whatever is the most cost effective.
Yeah.
Well, one would be the most cost effective of that.
Then that's the answer.
Okay, that's what I
Say
did.
matching.
I don't think it's unattractive, I think it's functional, and that's all we really need.
Okay.
Is an opportunity for people to be able to lock up their bikes.
Perfect. And then the other thing is we are still working on the signage for this and for that, meaning we've gotten it where we want. We're just working on the ordering parts of it and finalizing a couple little things and all that. But we're working on the signs,
Cool.
so you guys are aware. And that's it. So I know you guys, JP had some thoughts. Lewis had some thoughts. I don't know if we have any more maps or anything like that, or if you guys just kind of wanted. We talked about maybe just kind of walking it to see where some of his thoughts were. That's why we meted here. Why we meted here, because that's English. Why we met here, and then maybe just kind of wandering through. That's kind of where we left off. We really just kind of went through and talked about the basketball courts, things we liked, and even leaving that field. We talked about that a little bit at the playground as well. And then we immediately went into disc golf, frisbee golf, golf that I can't play regardless. So I don't know who wants to kind of fill in, chime in, and see what we're doing and where we're going.
Alright, so last weekend we kind of talked about the history of Mineral Park and being a golf course and how we can incorporate that history back in with something modern and new. Lewis, I'll give you this picture here. And Lewis came up with this wonderful idea to have a Frisbee golf course, and I figured we'd let you take it away from here and show us around.
Oh, talk us through it right now.
Yeah.
Is that sendable? Can you send that to us?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
I can. Yes, I can.
So, last time I was here, we talked about I talked briefly about the design. Since then, I drew out a rough layout of where 1 through 18 could possibly go. A full 18-hole course that follows along essentially the whole entire walking path, utilizing the old golf course areas, but in a way that's not throwing into people's backyards or houses or cars or anything like that. We can pass this around. I actually have it on my phone as well. The later end of the design kind of focuses down where the green space was talked about. I have a topographic map about the green space that's planned for down there. This can be integrated into any other projects that I've heard about so far. Sledding hill, green space, it doesn't take away from any of that. You can actually literally put a basket and a tee and a map to the side of these things, and it won't be destructive in any way. Disc golf is not, it requires some space, but it doesn't necessarily require disc golf or the golf course level greens. It is pretty much the off-road of golf, so it's natural or it's typical to play through woods and open spaces. And the design that I came up with kind of utilizes both. But again, at this current point, it's rough. It could work as is, but I don't know what is a no-go and what is potentially usable space. So the design could change accordingly.
With your 18 holes that you have laid out, or 10, it's typical for disc golf.
I don't have the lengths yet, but they would be shorter. I would more on the shorter side. A typical single hole for disc golf is somewhere between 250 to 350 feet. That's a pretty good distance for average throwing players. Besides, professionals who can throw like 600 feet. But
Do you know what kind of materials are needed to make a hole?
yes.
Like, what would you need?
A basket, which
Okay.
you can order from the disc golf manufacturers, which I have kind of rough pricing for that. They also do discounts for the more that you buy. So if you're planning to do a whole entire 18 hole course, I kind of have like a rough estimate of
18-hole discount.
yeah of what that would cost. Other than that, what you would need essentially is the same thing that you would need to install a fence post, essentially.
Okay.
You need to dig a hole and have some kind of base to support the disc golf basket,
Yeah.
which is made of metal. I want to say it's somewhere around like 50 pounds per, but there's also movable versions, which I wouldn't recommend.
Somebody will move them away from the neighborhood.
Yeah. It's also typical in disc golf courses to have alternate placements for the specific reason of, maybe you might want to utilize that space, move the basket to an alternate position. So that is something, it allows the design to be flexible about where we put the baskets and where people would play through.
And when you say a basket, is it just like, I don't know it too well, but I'm thinking like the chains and stuff
Yeah,
and the
sure.
hole?
Yeah.
Is that like a whole thing, or is it like separate?
It is a single unit. It's about
Okay.
to my chin tall, typically. Disc golf courses will do anything from create obstacles in front of them, behind them, around them, or elevate them as well to increase the difficulty
Yeah.
for playing.
But they
So
all are in the ground, right? Like
They
you don't
all
put them
are
in a
mounted
tree.
into the ground, yes. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So that, but planted in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is possible if you wanted to get creative with it. There are suspensions, but that's not necessary, and I don't think it would benefit.
Is there a
This is
professional league that exists?
Yes. Right
Are-
now, they're
are-
in
and then-
Michigan.
okay.
next door.
Okay, are there stipulations on what a course has to look like to be professional grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably like 24 something. I heard something like 24 acres.
Okay,
But again, when you're talking about that level of play, you're talking about people who can throw 500 feet
Right.
in a single bound, and will do that multiple times in one hole.
Okay.
We don't have that kind of space.
Right.
Also, the course that I designed here it should be amenable to advanced players and amateur players as well, because with this idea, I would hope that we could do some kind of like clinics where we invite kind of people around the disc golf community in Columbus, which is pretty tight knit and pretty big. You'll see the same faces run around their courses and kind of like teach, so that we have competent players on the course and so that people can enjoy it better. It's a lot easier to learn I would imagine, than regular ball golf.
I think that's in the same spirit of the golf course that was here as well.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
it wasn't the
was
biggest.
accessible and
It wasn't the biggest, but it was the prettiest, or the nicest, imagine in the sense that.
That is
some
another.
people-
That too is another aspect of what I created.
It was the least
Design to be.
expensive.
Yes.
It was the least expensive, and it was the only one
It was the least
in
expensive.
the 270 belt, if I recall.
Yeah.
Or
And
one of
because
only two
Minerva Park
sides
is
of
like a big garden essentially, we also have the opportunity to make it the prettiest disc golf course in Columbus. Which the most famous one is Brent Hamburg Memorial, which is Hoover. That's where the professionals come to play their A-tier tournaments and B-tier tournaments. They were actually here last year, so some of the biggest names come through here when they had tournaments here. So, with that said, that also creates an opportunity to bring traffic here to a course if we put a course here. We have Minerva Park, and then up the street is Linden Woods Metro Park, where they have a disc golf course. And then up the street from that is Hoover, which is the most popular one in Columbus. It's a trifecta of courses. And people do and will travel, just because people like the variety. So it's not out of bounds to imagine that the regular disc golf community
There you
will
go.
come through here on a regular basis, especially when you have Linden Woods right down the street.
Yeah, everything, we
Oh,
got the
yeah,
map,
okay.
so everyone should have it on, they'll check it on their phone.
I just sent it to
Okay, cool.
everyone.
Would you mind taking us over there, that little hill to kind of show us your vision on the one, or if that's still,
Sure,
that way we can kind of figure out what's not ours and what is on us, or there, you know, that way it helps you design.
sure.
Yeah,
If we're okay with walking.
yeah. That's why we're here.
Walking shoes today.
I got these shoes 2 hours ago. Just for walking.
I just came from the other day.
I bought brand new white New Balance tennis shoes, and Erin said she would divorce me if I wore them.
So I wear white tennis shoes everywhere I go, so I replace my white tennis shoes about every 3 to 6 weeks.
Well, that's just
Stupid?
arguably the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I only wear white ones. Have you not noticed that?
I've not noticed that.
I'm glad you said it.
Do you know? Okay, in fairness, I buy the same ones.
But that doesn't make it fair. That makes it that much more of a waste of money.
Like, just think,
So these
if you bought
particular
those same ones in black,
You would be wearing them for 2 years.
6 months.
Just
No,
saying.
black goes with everything that white goes with.
But they make me look tan if you wear white, so I wear white.
You look tan. You don't. The shoes aren't doing anything.
That you're not tan.
And, I mean,
I can't stand it.
I
I
can't-
feel like if you're tan, it makes you look
say that-
skinnier too.
I can't really say that looking tan is necessarily right. I mean, that's sort of saying I've made choices that make me more prone to skin cancer, right?
I mean,
Well,
it's all in how you want to look at it.
If that's
It
how you're
makes me-
tanning.
it
Everything
makes-
is.
I mean, it makes me look skinnier, so skin cancer makes me look skinnier, whichever.
Hey,
I'm just teasing.
everybody makes their own choices.
Exactly. Some are better than others. I didn't claim to be the smartest.
That is true.
Never did I claim that.
Can I ask how much a pair of shoes costs?
No, seriously. Okay, so I will say, I was buying the Vapor Maxes. They were $200 each. Those I have 3 pairs of. These ones are like $45, and I have like 6 pairs of these. Not even kidding.
And just like stop starting.
I do touch them up here and there. Like these ones are new.
Right?
But
and
like,
that was the second year that
people using Magic Eraser.
Yeah.
Magic Eraser, and then the other big scrubbing bubble is one that actually does clean them pretty well.
I bought these shoes today. I'm expecting to get about 7 years out of them, and then I'll have brand new lawn mowing shoes.
the early admission.
So in fairness, that's what I do with mine. They become lawn mowing
That
shoes,
definitely
muddier
helps.
shoes. I do try to keep them like for a while. Yeah, I love my best stuff. So you gotta replace them every once in a
I
while.
think it's great. I'm ready to start eating this stuff.
So is the maintenance building going over this way? So the goal is for the maintenance garage to go back there.
Okay.
The goal is not to cut all this down. Starting to think I'm just going to put a maintenance garage in somebody's backyard. Or use their garage.
And if you clean out
Um,
the garage, you're welcome to use it.
See?
So,
Look!
yeah.
Who wants it?
Oh shit. That's hysterical.
Hey, golf ball.
That's
calling me.
hilarious.
The that house on the corner of the Wildwood that we did all those variances for to the lot
Yes.
to build a new. Did they get all those variances and then sell?
They're building the house. That one?
The same person who
I think
we
so.
got the variances for?
I think so.
Okay, I thought I saw that. I thought I saw in the Franklin County Auditor's site that it had sold.
Well, they are a little behind, so it could be that. I don't know.
That is gorgeous.
So yeah, the goal is for the maintenance garage to go in this area back in here.
On the flat area.
In the flatter area, yeah.
The old pump house used to be right back over here.
On that way, yeah. there's access point.
Is there space? Is there more space back here as well?
Here is a little more, I mean, this green space area is part of the reserve.
Okay.
Technically, there's a
This
10-foot
was the
path
original
that
hill that, not to bring up, but is this the original pile of dirt
The answer
was
is yes.
always of discussion. I'm not going any further than that.
This is the infamous pile of
This
dirt.
is the infamous pile of dirt. Okay.
Which now has grass, so it looks like a great
Now it's
sledding
cute.
hill.
Yeah,
Let's
now
go
it's
ahead and throw that one in too.
I know,
This
right?
is the one causing problems because it became a sled hill, right?
I was gonna say, it looks like a great sledding hill.
Right.
I know.
Into those people's yard.
So small to be
This isn't a dead
I know, I feel like
It
it's
is, they go flying up into the yard.
Alright, so.
We had one smaller than this in front of our house, and our daughter just
What
wanted
number is
it. It was
So you
like,
guys,
yeah,
this
that's
is
like,
gonna be hole number one. I'm gonna let Lewis take it over. His vision was really cool on
So-
how he's seen how this would play out.
Yeah. So this is hole one. It will end where we entered through those bushes. Place a basket in between those new trees that are bordered off essentially. And here I wanted to show you this one because this is something that you need to understand about disc golf is that we can really shape the way that people throw so that we're not throwing this way into people's backyards or fences because, you know, that's
Right.
a disc is somebody's property. They have to. That's a problem. But we can really shape the way that people throw. And a way you do that, like in the sport, is to create mandatories. So if we're throwing this way, we need to get the basket over there. We can, you know, avoid people throwing that way or that way by telling them, you know, it's mandatory in between these trees. This is how you make it through. You can go however way you want within the bounds. So that is a way to kind of keep throws from being wild and going too far out of bounds.
So the basket goes down there, right? And what would we
Yes.
put up here so that way people know where to stand? Like what would you do?
T-pad, and a T-pad can be, it's usually like a long rectangle, maybe like 6 feet or something like that. Actual built-in courses usually have cement T-pads. I've seen anything from just dirt patches. I've seen gravel. Gravel creates more problems. I've seen turf, flattened land with turf. But really the sky's the limit. A lot of professional courses have like actual built wooden decks and everything.
Would the grass be cut any different way from like here to there, or just he would continue to cut it how he normally cuts it?
This is fine.
Okay.
This is absolutely perfect. The longer the grass is, the more difficulty creates for throwing. Really, grass like this will allow a disc to skip, bounce, and slide. The longer the grass is, it will catch and kind of create problems depending on how you want to throw. But this is also what I wanted to show you because there's some growth here. We want a manicure in a disc golf course. You want to keep it manicured, well maintained, but not necessarily, again, disc or not golf course level greens. But what we can do is kind of like trim up some wild bushes here and there to encourage throw routes, essentially. So if I'm looking here, I would want to throw in between this arched tree, and a disc will move in an arched fashion depending on which way you throw it. So it will boomerang, create a C kind of shape towards a goal. And that's how you want to encourage people to play. You can also increase difficulties that way. And again, like I said, keep everything within bounds, within the hole. Any questions? Any other questions? I didn't bring any of the discs here, but if you're not familiar, they are technically frisbees, but they're anywhere between 150 and 175 grams, and they are shaped in all types of different ways. So a driver, and it's just like golf, regular golf. So you have driver, mid-range, putter. You know, the slower the disc, the smoother it is, more round it is. But the drivers are nice and thin profile, so they move because they're aerodynamic and they have sharp rims. So that is something to understand about the sport.
Aside from basic landscaping, what upkeep and maintenance is year to year is required?
Controlling brush, controlling wild brush, maybe more mowing, because you would require some landing zones to be, not this, because this is a problem for disc golf, because if you throw an errant throw, or if your disc knocks off a tree and bounces into the rough, you got to go in there and dig it out. Most people carry like retractable arms, grabbers, just so they don't have to do that. But that's a normal, everyday thing, facet about the sport.
You said create mandatories.
Yes.
How do you establish that to a layperson?
Signage.
Okay, signage.
Yeah. And it could be, just a signage. We could put a sign on that tree there with an M and an arrow. Mandatory, this way. That way you know you throw around this way and not that way. And this is the way to shape shots and to control where people throw and how they throw. Because if you're mandatory, the goal is to get to your goal and less shots. So you're not gonna go over there and then go all the way over there, You want to get it as quick as you can. It's just like ball, keep scoring the same way. Traditional ball. I like
This
that.
is the first one. Where's the last one?
On
Everyone breaks out the map.
on the hill, that overgrown space in the walking path that has the little outcrop. So we are right here. In that area.
18 is over by.
The amphitheater?
And I haven't actually been through there, so I don't. My plan is basically from designed from what I could see.
So the 18th is
It's
in
in
the
that
green
retention
area
pond.
behind.
Yes, basically along the fence that's back there.
If we were to look at this way and say like if we had to trim anything in our way for that goal, do you see anything that would be trimmed, or this just leaving it basically just like this? This is the way we go.
Okay,
You
but
just
not
that
the hidden
little branch
pond,
right there, or
the
that's
one
it.
by Quiet Brook.
And the reason I'm just asking is
Yeah,
people
that's
understand,
fine.
like a little very minimalistic,
Yeah.
with a natural course.
Trimming and shaping trees is something that is done on a regular basis, but that's only if the design of the course is really calling for that. We don't necessarily have to, and I'm trying to be mindful of not knocking down any of the mature trees at all. Grow around it, grow through it. That creates challenge. It's not an obstacle. It is it's an addition to any of the whole.
Basically using the landscape as the design and just very minimalistically trimming
Yes.
brush, if need be in little areas.
Yes.
So very, very minimalistic.
Yeah, I mean, you can start out real minimal, I think. I think
Yeah.
just creating
And maybe
just
like
sculpting and signage is really and
Yeah.
the
Like
goals.
this one little
Really
jagged
cut
bush
all
right here, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But that's about it that I see. That's, like you said, trimming, very minimalistic
Yeah.
to go with the landscaping.
So
Guiding
mature-
people away from highs, yeah.
Yeah, mature trees stay. Wild brush could potentially be trimmed here and there.
Okay.
If you want to walk forward, go back to the way we came.
Shows kind of how like
Like where I let my bike down.
Yeah.
Right.
You would shoot through these trees, shoot out of these trees, shoot through these trees around. And
Did that
when you
porch?
throw a disc, you see
Biting flies on my legs. Yeah, I got
Right?
Like plan appropriately.
like how you talked about the other. Take the trip, build the deck.
this canopy that can obstruct players, so you can either keep it here and kind of go down to the bike. Actually, that tree was real fun.
Isn't it funny when you do come to like things like this, you learn?
Yeah, that's why the walking tours are so much better than looking at the map, because you're like,
Oh yeah, you don't realize how much this
Yeah.
really is. I mean, I would assume this is their yard. This is all ours.
it's all mine.
So this is where I seen where the basket could go, anywhere in this area to create difficulty. Again, if you put it behind a tree, you're adding just more difficulty to get there. You're having to force players to shape their shots. This, unlike golf, create S-shaped turns, depending on what you want them to do. You can actually get them to create a whole S shape as they fly. Here's what I wanted to show you. This is hole number 2, and this will give you kind of an idea of like the kind of trimming or maintenance that would be required. Here is where I would start number 2, the tee pad, and asking players to throw through this little forest, to get to the second basket, which is in the design somewhere around that the Christmas tree. But again, we want to keep mature trees. So how do you let players throw through? We could take out some of the lesser trees, keep the big, strong, mature trees, and kind of create a hole, create pockets for people to throw through. Anybody who's playing regularly is familiar with this. They're also familiar with such things as like tree tunnels. A lot of disc golf courses will have tree tunnels specifically, where they'll plant trees in a row, let them grow up, and now you have to throw a straight shot through without knocking trees on the side and adding to your score, that type of thing. So that is the kind of obstacle.
Just run a brush hog right through there and have like a little pathway between those big trees.
Yeah, and I was actually just looking through there. That is not that deep. Disc retrieval is going to have to happen anyway. You're going to knock a tree or a branch or an iron leaf, as they say, and kind of get in there. But disc golfers are used to that. Lost and found is a big thing. Disc golfers are kind of like the surfers of golf, essentially, like the crowd in general. In Columbus, a lot of the disc golf community like to practice karma, right? So if you find a disc, you return a disc. And if it's here, I would personally be patrolling for disc and be on top of trying to return discs because I don't like scavengers.
Are they expensive?
Yeah. No, I want to say like the most expensive disc you can buy at any time, if you're not trying to buy like a collector's item,
Right.
is like maybe 25 or 30 max per disc. But people
That's
will come.
expensive.
But they're
It ain't
carrying
100 golf
Yeah.
clubs.
That's true.
Yeah.
But they're carrying
$300 driver.
30 of them.
Yes.
Right.
They're not.
Oh, I'm
they're
thinking
only
I would have to go buy new ones every day.
No,
Just throwing that out there.
because it's not a regular frisbee. A regular frisbee is wide.
Right.
It's floppy, and that's because it's meant to glide. It's meant to play catch. Disc golf is meant to zoom.
Right.
It's aerodynamic. So you'll see players carry backpacks, small
Oh, yeah.
bags. They'll maybe try to go minimalist and carry like 3 discs and try to get through the course with 3 discs, that type of thing. But you know, each disc has a different purpose, a different plan, a different shot shape. So that's why you see people carrying anything from rollable carts to just simple backpacks.
And then it's year round in the winter.
It is year round also. People will play in the snow. I'm out there 24/7.
It's going to be easier to get it through the trees.
Yeah, in the wintertime it's a lot easier because the brush and everything dies off. There's no real damage that a plastic disc can do, you know, being thrown very hard, except for the trees that are close and tend to get hit the most will kind of build scuffs up over time on there. So that's it won't kill a tree, but it will mark a tree over time. And if you go to any of the courses, especially Blendon Woods, you'll see that the trees that are what they call first available from the tee, they have little divots in them, but they're fine. They're not destroying anything, you know, and the course shape encourages players to throw this way, not that way. So,
Are most courses on public land?
yeah, all the Metro Parks here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No private courses or anything like that?
Private courses are usually
I'm just curious.
on
like
golf courses,
Okay.
and you have to pay for them. Other than that, disc golf is typically free. Every disc golf course in Columbus is free except for people who own land and built their own, which there are 3 that I know of.
Is there like a junior version of it, like for kids who aren't going to make that shot?
Yeah,
in a
sure,
million
there's
years?
leagues.
Like, are there leagues and?
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
allow them more classes.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Instead of, right,
Well,
instead of this
or
being
there's
a
like
par
different
3,
regulations for
right,
how far the tee is away from the.
Yeah.
like shooting the white tees instead of the blues. Is
Yeah.
that-
Oh yeah, it's more so a matter of increasing the score count. So instead of like a par 3 is typical on most holes. The distance will increase the par count.
Right.
The longer or more difficult the landscape, etc., will increase the par count. But most of them are par 3s. Kids can throw pretty dang far, and if you get them to really shape their shots effectively, they can make it. But
and my
again,
family's like played disc golf at like many of the campgrounds, and we go out there with just our regular
Frisbees, yeah.
frisbees and annoy the professionals because we're like, why do they got this big bag? And yeah, I'm the one climbing into the bushes having to do it, but we.
That'd be me. You gotta
Yeah.
throw it and it goes backwards.
And we
like
just
down
make
to
up our own
level.
rules as we go along as to, you know, what our count is. So, you know, you're just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
Just make sure he's in front of you.
Yeah. That's where we always let anybody else, oh, you go right ahead.
Are there 9-hole courses?
there are.
And then are there like the 9-hole, 18-hole hybrid kind of things?
It's just an 18-hole course that you just play 9 on.
Right, okay.
Unless it's specifically a 9-hole course. Most of the 9-hole courses around here are based around school, or based on school grounds, and they're just there to kind of have the kids, you know, have a disc golf course and, you know, give them the opportunity to throw without having to do like a whole 18. The biggest courses in Columbus, you'll be out there for at least 2 hours. Gordon Holton Memorial in Delaware is probably one of the biggest courses we have here. Alum Creek is another big one. You're spending 2.5 hours there per 18. But this course, I imagine you could probably get through it, and this is just speculation of me walking through. You could probably get through it like an hour and a half, an hour. So it's not that long. Again, the holes here would be not 400, 500 feet. There's maybe like 3 of them in the design. And the rest are probably par 3s, which are around 250 to 350.
Okay.
If you want to, we can go back on over to towards the playground. Okay. Yeah, and I'll kind of show you. I want to get your opinion, idea, or thoughts on hole 3. JP mentioned track. A lot of general just off attitude.
Just keep coming.
Yeah. Just like camping and trekking.
Yeah.
Backpack.
Family work,
All the stuff. We should grab lunch or a drink or something.
for sure.
Just turned another final in, so I got until Monday before my next course starts.
Oh wow. I just started my Roga's course. So it's really big. Yeah. Taking it easy. You can do. I said no, I'm just gonna do one. So a 10-week course online because I got plenty to do stuff.
Yeah. That's the great thing about this program. It's 7 months. Go ahead.
Oh, for a player, yeah.
You could just put that on the ground.
Even imagine someone doing it.
Oh, so really quickly, if you turn around, where we just were, we're right in line with where there's kind of the green would need to be kind of cleared out so that you could throw through here to get the goal here. The Christmas tree. Yeah. You can put it in and around, or around the side of the Christmas tree to increase difficulty.
That would raise my first concern. So if you're throwing a disc from the other side of the tree stand, and there's kids playing in this space, because this is still a kids playing in the space, you would never be able to see them.
Bonk them in the head.
And bonk them in the head. And it's not like there's, maybe they yell 4 before they throw it, but kid doesn't hear it, doesn't understand, and then it's whisper on the wind, thunder.
Yeah, that is another aspect of the design that I really thought about. In general, you wouldn't play golf if there's somebody in front of you and you could whack it 200 feet and hit him in the head. Same concept, and that how to avoid that is just awareness, player awareness, and how do they have more awareness? Clean visual lines. If we can create windows where they can be more aware of their surroundings. Players will take the time to let people pass through and everything. They're not just out there throwing willy-nilly to hit people in the head. There's usually groups of people ahead of you when you play.
Would be trying. I'm just pointing out an apparent here.
Sure.
There's no. I don't know that there's any amount of trimming that you could do in that tree stand that would guarantee clean line.
Yeah. Guarantee is not a thing.
Right.
You can't guarantee that kind of thing. But you can encourage.
Yep.
Let me show you hole 3.
Yeah, he
You got a disc management.
So yeah, so tomorrow we got to see
today was
my daughter's senior year for the day.
How are you?
Down to
Good.
moving into. Yeah, it's a big day, it's a busy time, so my mother went over to see him. My wife's like, I gotta take you shopping. I said, take your mother. So yeah, I was like, all right, we'll sure have to hang out for a
we'll
bit.
try and get this through as fast as possible. We start kindergarten tomorrow, so
Congratulations, that's a big
that's
step,
something.
too.
Yeah.
It's your first step on a long journey.
I guess so. Yeah.
Just kidding.
I mean, honestly, the daycare we're leaving, my expectations are so low. No, that's, I mean, yeah, we got to pay for all day kindergarten, and it's like, so we're only
But
going
isn't
to
that cheaper than daycare?
It's like we're only going to save like $800 a month by doing this.
Only. Only. It's a nice step.
Problem is, other things
That
happen, and
is
you're like,
only.
where did that? I never felt the money.
Yeah, I
like,
just
that
took
we
the
were-
cat to
yeah.
the vet for $500 today so that they can tell me they don't know. So I assume we just walk between holes, right?
So where's the tee box? If this is this the goal or the tee box?
Tee box would be here, right?
So the tee box would be in there somewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're not throwing through the playground. I
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
very much.
It's off to the side. It allows foot traffic through. You're not obstructing the playground, but it would start in there. And this is kind of the limitation of what I know so far. In my brain, hole 3 starts here with the tee pad somewhere around here. You throw through some tunnels of trees into this forested space that is thick on the sides, but cleared out enough on the inside that you can play through it. I understand, based on the last conversation we had about clearing the rough right there so that you can see the playground from the pavilion. I understand there's a lot of reservations about mowing kind of rough like this, but it is an option. And, you know, generally speaking, before you say no, I hope that you would understand how it is. Like I said before, disc golf is usually played in woods and clear spaces. So it's not like ball golf where you're having to have these beautiful manicured lawns just to play. This is a normal disc golf type of hole. Mature trees are in there, which is excellent. Keep those. Everything that fell, keep those. If medium-sized trees that could be trimmed down or such, we could actually keep those and turn those into obstacles, you know? Whitehall Disc Golf Course right now has 18. They used to have just 9, but they dedicated time and effort and resources and made a full 18. And they took a lot of the logs that were around the property and stacked them on top of each other, making chainsaw cuts to create obstacles on that course. You can bring that all throughout here so that we don't have to ship away natural waste or whatever. Use it. Make obstacles, make barriers. Barriers is another thing. So yeah, this actually in the design would come out just before the just in front of the bridge.
I would just want to add real quick, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm 44 now, so probably when I was 7, 8 years old, back there was very cleared out, kind of like what you see in here, but maybe not as big. We would go back there and build like Ewok villages and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
We would just take, trees and string and like build like little forts and stuff back there. No one really knew about it because it was off to the side. You could ride your bikes like around here, still see the golf course, and nobody would know the kids were in here playing. So that was kind of cool, like a little secret. So I know it can be opened up a little bit to like a little tunnel if we were to allow that. I don't know, like I said, I don't.
Sure.
That's a really cool idea.
There'd need to be a clear path between the tee box and the goal, right? You have to be able to walk.
And if it's clear enough to throw through, clear enough
fairly
to show
straight-
people where to throw.
and clear enough to walk between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you got to be able to walk it, and then you need to be able to maintain that.
Yeah. This area specifically is probably my biggest questionable hole since I've been thinking about this. When it rains pretty heavy, it gets real squishy down there. So I don't know what the drainage situation is like. I just know when it rains heavy, inside of there it gets really marshy, and I've even seen some water kind of pull up a little bit. So that is a concern. But I have kept that in mind. I'm totally aware of that. Even then, I would still advocate hole 3.
We'll show us on the other side where it might.
Yeah,
Like,
because
that
I want to
was
continue
really
over
cool.
towards the bridge.
They only fall when you're walking near them. So. Oh, there it is.
They're coming for you.
It fell straight from the sky. Horizontal.
Straight down from the sky at about Tommy height.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Left-handed too.
There's places for a couple of these. We thought the same thing.
I know, didn't play any.
Flies were biting out
I
there.
know, that's what I was getting. Should sprayed myself down before I came out here. I didn't think about it.
Me neither. 2-year-old got bit by something last week. We almost took him to the hospital.
Swelled
Blew
up
up in
that much.
hives. His whole body just
Ooh.
hives. And we had no idea. Like, we didn't see him get bit. We couldn't find a bite. And then 2 days later, we found up in his hairline bite was happened in our driveway. No idea what it was. But he did not react well.
Down on the
Oh, it looks good.
Is that the meat?
The mink just crawled under a rock.
There's marshmallow.
We so need to get new wood in here. Or at least seal it.
That's what we were talking about.
Oh.
No, these.
No, that's
Yeah.
probably.
I mean, they're solid. They're just not.
And that one over there. I've really seen a
There he goes again.
Oh, there he is.
right here.
And I mean, the parent didn't say shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Hey, you know what?
I mean, look, when you were a kid, JP, would you have done it?
Sure.
You go down there and walk down those rocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A
Sometimes
little
there
piece
is.
of fence there or not,
All right, so what do we got?
it might keep a little tiny kid
Oh, there's deer.
rolling down there.
So there, we have these.
Oh, we've got them. I mean, on Jordan Park Lane, if the sun is down, you just don't know whose yard they're in, but it's a guarantee.
Oh, they come around my place when the sun isn't even down yet. They used to come in the late evening, like this time. But yeah, in the middle of the day.
Yeah, this is
Oh yeah, we'll get them.
popping out here. They're usually always down in this little gully here.
Yeah, they do like to walk in that stream down there. So where would the hole be?
Okay. So, hole 3 would be coming through this whole entire section, would end somewhere around here. The idea of hole 3 is kind of keeping this rough foliage on the outside to create a border, to keep the discs in there. I mean, it's hard plastic. It's going to be throwing pretty hard, pretty fast, so it can't just like slip out here and there. But the more foliage on the borders, the better. It'll help cut down on noise. It'll help cut down on errant throws. And I see there's already. Is this path for something specific?
I have no idea.
There was there's a electric line being put through over to the shelter that was just recently cut through.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where it started on that side. You think that's like the continuation?
I don't know
Down
know
here?
if that's Tiffany would know.
Yeah.
You know, there was one there. Some of them the deer had a trail.
Or if there was a big tree that went down and they had to put. Because that's what
Hey,
happened
Eric.
behind us. And they create a big path like that.
Hey Eric, do you know what this mode area is? That
That's ours.
Was that for the electric, or what? Is it always maintained like that? Or?
Almost like a path there, or is that just?
Well, it's not marked for any utility.
Well, I thought
don't
Tiffany
see-
had said on our last meeting that they cut a path through behind these houses to run the electric.
Well, the electric is all run from the street to either the rear yard, right, where you have transformers. You have transformers every so often. So maybe there's a line here somewhere, but you know, if you walk around the cul-de-sac, you'll find the transformers that serve every few houses, right? And then so those are typically, and you can see them actually through the clearing.
Yeah.
There's a group of them right there, straight across, along with the other
Okay.
utilities.
So the answer is we don't know why that's mowed.
Right. I just think it got. I think.
And
it
I don't
got
know if
cleared
I'd
from-
say it's mowed
Well,
or like it was
had
probably.
been mowed.
Yeah, it had been like utility at some time. Yeah.
Pete had to come in and put the wiring in. I thought that's why they had it mowed down on the other side with that fence.
I see a transformer right here, so maybe, but there's no, I don't know why they would come right here, because there's no lines right here, right? The line is overhead that goes that direction. The lines that serve the neighborhood are coming off the street infrastructure.
We don't know. That's the answer we've got.
I mean, that's the gas was marked, so it's not there.
Hey, Tiffany, do you remember, you said something about AP was cutting in?
That's not where the complaint was.
Oh, that was over on the other side.
But
Sorry.
I mean, it
That could
does
be a
look
neighbor.
as if it's been done recently. And for the record, it's been a couple weeks since it was done. So it's very possible that was one of the other ones. My thought, okay, let's back up. My first thought is no, because it's the line that we're using is way over there, and it's only going from here to there. That seems really far from the spot, so I wouldn't think so. Now that I just went backwards on everything I just said, no, that has. I can't think of any reason they would be right there.
Not good.
What about going through the review? The stupid, the hillside guy.
Yeah. Not because of what we. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Water does its
It
own
looks
thing.
like it's been a little bit since they cut it.
Water
You mean the
always
erosion?
exciting, right?
So
this
is what erosion looks like, kid.
This is the end of hole 3, beginning of hole 4. I was just saying earlier that keeping brush around the border, if this was to be hole 3, is a good idea because it'll help catch discs that maybe hit a tree, knock off. That way it's not flying that way or flying into the water.
Anybody on a bike path
Or in the bike path.
And the humans.
More foliage, I would think, can help cut down on noise, but you know, not that much. It's when you make a cut, it's plastic, hard plastic banging into metal chains. There's a ch sound. That is a sound that comes with the course. It's not loud and it's not that loud and abusive. It's relatively short. It's not like you hit a gong and it just keeps going on for minutes and minutes. It's the end.
It's also not constant.
The end.
Right.
It's also not constant because not everybody's gonna be 1, 2, 3 playing the whole time.
Good enough for a player to know that.
I get it.
Yeah.
So hole 3 would end here, somewhere in here, according to the design, and hole 4 would start here. T-pad would be somewhere over here, and this is kind of what I want to explain to those who may not be familiar with disc golf. Is we do have the space. We absolutely have the space here. This is a hole, and you may not have thought about it if you're not familiar with disc golf or whatever. This has multiple options. In the design, this is kind of like a design that I created like an alternate placement for. Challenging and fun-wise would be to put a tee here and put a basket just on that ridge of the hill right there. It's a short throw. Most people who play a lot can do that in a putt. And to get hole-in-one potential is just like big fun. Anytime anybody hits a big hole-in-one, it's fun for the whole group. Because disc golf in general is very, when somebody throws an impressive shot, people really wow. And it's not so much, teams versus teams and a lot of aggression. You won't get a lot of arguing during matches. You'll get a lot of cheering because people like to see, the disc fly and do cool stuff, and everybody loves a hole-in-one. But the basket, oh dear, the basket would either be there just on the top of that ridge there, or forward just a little bit on the side of the hill. Utilizing the space. This is something that is common in disc golf courses.
Are you suggesting they're throwing over the ravine?
Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
It's not going to. I'm just going to tell you that's not going to
So
happen.
that's, the
It's a
problem with that
liability
is-
issue here. It's a
Exactly.
big one
Would
for us.
encourage, because
Encourage people to go get the ones that fell in the
Right.
ravine.
You guys, One step back, pull up.
I mean, I get the coolness of it, but from a village liability perspective, we can't be inviting people to
Get down the riprap.
exactly.
Sure. Get injured and tree things and
Sure.
And that's part of the challenge of coming up with the design is utilizing the space in a smart way. I mean, this is out of the way, but of course, as you said, you can't be throwing over the bridge and everything. But thinking about using the space in a different kind of way, even just clearing out a little bit of space will, aid the design, aid the creativity of the course, keep players coming back, keep people wanting to play, and stay in the village.
So we've got the map to show us the rest of the holes.
Sure.
And then you said you've got some information on costs.
Yeah.
As far as the equipment.
Yeah.
And then we can figure out from there installation and maintenance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just trying to be mindful of time and insects.
Yeah.
and mothers.
Does anybody have other questions?
No. And none from me.
This is
nobody does, but I don't.
super helpful.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we appreciate the time.
yeah, this has been awesome.
My goal is, for those who don't play it, those who aren't familiar with it, to get you familiar with the idea of it. Just because it can be done. I've played on, smaller courses. I've seen people, buy land, buy property, and make a course out of their property of like 2 acres. You put a whole 18 on there. It's totally doable. It's just kind of yes, no, what can we do? How flexible can we be? How creative can we be? This also, the idea of this course also lends into like, what's the overall goal? Like, we want to bring traffic into the neighborhood for what purpose? What else can foot traffic disc golf players that are coming here to play, what else can they do while they're in the neighborhood? I know there was talk about like keeping, kind of like retaining people and ushering them to the pool, ushering them to our amenities. We have food trucks that come in here. This crowd of people can be a part of that. And utilizing them to further those goals is something that can be done. So that is something that I hope is keep in mind.
So to let you know kind of next steps, I think this is probably our last field trip, and then we'll head back to the library, I suppose.
Not far off from our new building.
Yeah. And we're kind of just putting everything down on paper, right? We're going to try to give council, we don't have much decision-making authority whatsoever. We're going to give council a report that says, here's all the stuff we did, here's who we talked to, here's what we looked at, here are some potential benefits, here are some potential hurdles, here are some, where we have them, basic kind of implementation and maintenance costs, and we're going to give that all to council and say, now you guys figure out what you want more information on. So, everything from, pickleball's been discussed, this has been discussed, just fixing up various green space, putting in additional paths, all sorts of things. So, and we're not going to stop being in the new idea phase until probably even after the report is submitted. But that's just to let you know that when you don't see this on the agenda for the next council meeting, know that it's because it won't be.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything other than
it's a new idea.
Right. Yeah. And so what we're doing, and there's a good chance as we're putting the report together that we'll reach back out to you if we've got additional questions. And again, we're just trying to give council as much information as we can get without wasting our time.
Sure. Yeah.
If it's something that council's going to have no interest in whatsoever, but also something like this, we now know more than they do.
Yeah.
You know more than we do.
Sure.
So we're going to try to put something together to give to them that says, this is how reasonable we think this idea is. And in some cases, folks want to do things that are only going to cost $30 million. And it's like, yeah, we'll give that to council.
The other thing that's helpful is if you know of funding sources for things like this. If there are groups or there are ways to get things funded, even if it's a multi-year project, right? And I think there's more to talk about because we've got 18 packed into this reserve. But quite frankly, there's a bit more to work with from old unimproved right-of-ways, for example, that go up and down. That would make very nice, in some cases, straight coursework, and are underutilized, or unutilized, I should say. And so people have been talking about ways to make those more integrated, and you have a combination of golf and pathway, you never know. There's ways to do things. So,
And like I said, the design is, you know, I
potentially
put it out there just to have like a frame of reference of like, you could do it along here. We can use it as like a baseline reference. But
Yeah,
before,
and right.
gotta be changed.
Yeah,
Flexible.
and yeah, and the thing to remember is, again, even if we were to make changes to your idea, it all goes to council, and they ultimately, and then even from there, you know, there would be professionals hired and things like that. But the work that you've done is very valuable, and like I said, this time here today was really educational for
I
me.
really
anyway,
appreciate
so.
the well thought outness.
Right.
Instead of like, let's do a snow hill.
Thank you. Last thing I'll say about that, we
my
mentioned
idea.
professionals.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
I've actually been in touch. You weren't here last time, but I said it last time. It bears repeating. I was in touch with Brad Schick, who is our local professional. He actually plays on the DGA tour. He's probably up in Michigan right now playing. But I reached out to him, and he said, you know, if we can get the ball rolling on this, he can come out and lend his expertise. He has designed and helped design at least 3 courses in Columbus already. The most recent one being in the Orange Township. I don't know what that building, the township building. I don't know what to call it.
the community building.
The community building, yeah. So they have a new course there. He designed that.
Okay.
So he is a resource, and he's an actual professional in the sport. So he has offered his help to come help design this, and
awesome.
You know, he's someone we can depend on because he lives in Alum Creek area, Delaware area. So he's close.
Having
All
a
right.
like that would definitely put us on the map, you know?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
name like that.
Yeah.
Let's start walking.
All right, let's start
this way, 'cause
walking
this is
back
like
and-
the mosquito.
Yeah.
Well, and I would just say that you know, bat houses. I'm just gonna say bat houses.
Stop it!
I'm not gonna stop it.
Saturday, we were up at the uptown Westerville thing, and all of a sudden, like, we saw all these bats coming
Yeah.
out of this chimney and flying back in. It was actually rather cool watching.
There's, I mean, in Austin, Texas, there's a bridge, and folks will gather every night at dusk, and it's, I mean, thousands of bats just take off from, and it's a spectator thing, and like a bat will eat 1,000 mosquitoes a night.
I love seeing one, like, sometimes we're out in our backyard, seeing him fly back and forth. It's like this.
Yeah, And when they have someplace to live, they don't live in your attic because they'd rather be in their bat house.
Yes, it's like a homeless problem.
We have the other thing getting ready.